This isn't what I was looking for. It's a little bit too slow. All right, let's get some Delco Steve rocking here. There it is. Give me some parlance. What's a Delco bar that you go to see a cover band? Brownies McDade, is that still there? Brownies on McDade Boulevard? Oh yeah, I've been there before. What's up, everybody? Is it Wednesday night or Thursday night? I've lost track. It's still only Wednesday? Oh man. Well, we're hanging out until 10 o'clock or so on YouTube, X, Instagram Live if you're watching it live. If you're watching whenever else, well, what's up? It is Wednesday evening as the Flyers are currently playing a game right now, and I only know that because Delco Steve is paying attention to the game while we're on the air here. That's how big of a Flyer fan he is, so I can't blame him for it. But all right, so last night we started the show with the Craig Carton sound and the Craig Carton rumor innuendo thing that he put out there, and you knew that it was going to blow up and explode all over the place. And I'm not surprised at the reaction from a lot of fans because A, it's Craig Carton, and because B, we don't want to believe anything's wrong with the team unless we say there's something wrong with the team. If a reporter or somebody from out of town or somebody says there's this going on, there's that going on, unless we hate that person, then we of course don't want it to be true. But what I said yesterday was that I don't know how anybody would think that there wasn't something that was going on internally. One of the big problems is that Craig put something out there that he didn't say what was actually going on. He just said there was something that he doesn't believe can be repaired. And he almost insinuated that it could have been like someone messed around with somebody else's wife or a girlfriend. Like that's what a lot of people were taking from it. I can tell you if you weren't listening last night or you didn't hear the previous episode of this, that I have heard long before any of these things were public or even before they were losing games that Jalen and AJ's relationship was not good. I didn't get a lot of details and I didn't ask for a lot of details. I just kind of assumed that it was something that happened based on him yelling at him on the field, and maybe their relationship suffered from that. I didn't really know, and I still don't really know what's going on. But for everybody out there that wants to say, well, this is bullshit, and Craig Carton's making it up, and there's nothing there, like, you know what I say to that? Bullshit, that there's not something there. How the hell do you know? Right? Like, Craig Carton at least is closer to the situation being in sports media and knowing athletes and former athletes and maybe guys that he works with that share a common agent with an Eagles player. I don't know what it is. And again, part of it's Craig's own fault because of the way he put it out there. And it's not a report. And it is, as we'll hear from Adam Schefter, it's more National Enquirer than actual report. But it's not a report. He's not a reporter. He's a TV personality. This is what TV personalities do. It's not the same standard. And by the way, Adam Schefter, the standard of you being a journalist, really? Right? Didn't he sent Bruce Allen, who was running the Redskins at the time, he sent him a draft of a story for his approval before putting it out there? Like, F you, Adam Schefter. So let's go to Adam Schefter, because he appears weekly on the John Kincaid Show on 97.5, and he was on this morning, and they asked him about the Craig Carton report about the Eagles and everything that's going on there. Here's Schefter from this morning.
On Fox Sports 1, I'm even not to call it a report. You had a broadcaster saying he knows the real reason that the Eagles season collapsed last year, but he wouldn't share it and talk about it. When you look at what happened to the Eagles and what you know about what happened to the Eagles down the stretch, can you point to anything that you could lend an ear to, or was it more of a breakdown collectively across the board, coaching, playing, and all kinds of other factors?
But by the way, I don't even know if the National Enquirer would write something like that.
We agreed at the beginning of today's show that it was a capital B bullcrap, but
all right, well, but first of all, fuck you, Adam Schefter. All right? Like, seriously, I hate Adam Schefter. I absolutely hate him. He's an insider. He's given information. He's where he is right now with ESPN is because he's been a long-time NFL reporter, which is fine. Like, I don't care. The Adam Schefters are going to exist in this world, and I'm totally fine with that. But he says National Enquirer. He's on FS1. He has a show in the morning. This is what these shows do, including the shows on your network, Adam Schefter, the First Takes on FS1s. This is what all these shows do. It doesn't mean that it's not true. All right, here's more.
We were.
You know, and by the way, I texted somebody in the organization yesterday. I'm like, what is this? And the text back, the quote was, none of that S word happened. None of that S happened.
Good.
Now,
what do you mean good? What does that mean? Good. Why is John Kincaid saying good? What does that mean? Let's back that up a little bit. What does that mean?
none of that S happened.
Good.
Now,
Good? What, we're rooting here? We're rooting that it didn't happen? We're rooting that Craig Carton's a liar? He said that John said that it was BS. Well, what's BS? The way it was displayed? Bob Cooney is John's co-host. Bob Cooney was a longtime journalist. I can understand saying that, yeah, journalistically, like, Craig Carton's full of shit, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not true. All right, so let me get this straight. Adam Schefter texted somebody in the Eagles organization. Delco Steve, who would you say would be the person that he texted if we had to guess? If he texted somebody in the organization? Howie?
I guess it had to be Howie.
Right, Howie. I mean, that would be, maybe he didn't, but like somebody like that. You would think that he has a direct line to Howie Roseman, right?
You would have to think.
So you think that Howie Roseman, if there is something to this story, you think Howie Roseman's going to confirm it for Adam Schefter?
No.
So he says no.
No one wants to air out their dirty laundry.
So he says it's BS. So end the story. Adam Schefter texted somebody in the Eagles organization, and they said that it was shit. None of that shit happened. End of the story. And then it gets written up everywhere that Adam Schefter came on and refuted the story. Adam Schefter didn't do anything. Adam Schefter simply said that he had somebody in the Eagles organization text him and say that it was the shit didn't happen. That's it. That's all that he said. As far as I know, and I didn't hear any more than that, and I tried to find the rest of the interview, but I think that was, and there was a little bit more, but he didn't come out and say that, I spoke with somebody in the Eagles and they said this or they said that. He said, I texted somebody and they texted me back. That shit didn't happen. He added nothing to the conversation at all. Didn't add anything to the conversation. Like we'll play what Derek Gunn said in a little bit. Didn't add anything to the conversation. He just simply said someone texted him back. All right, well, Adam, have you heard that there was trouble in the locker room? Have you heard that, right? Like, add to the reporting. So let's continue with Adam Schefter.
I don't know. I'm just telling you that, and that's what qualifies, as a reporter. You can just go say whatever you want, and it gets clicks, and people hear about it.
But Adam Schefter, you do put whatever you want out there. You do that all the time. You get used as a pawn all the time. All the time. You get information put out there because an agent's giving it to you or a team's giving it to you for misinformation or try to stir a trade market. You're used all the time as a part of the NFL machine. You're used all the time. Give me a break. Craig's a part of the same machine that you are. He's just a different piece in the machine.
Somebody with another player's woman or who knows? Who knows? I'm just telling you, somebody in the organization.
All right, so let's back up.
Who knows?
What is he even talking
about? Go say whatever you want, and it gets clicks, and people hear about it. Was somebody with another player's woman or who knows? Who knows? I'm just telling you, somebody in the organization, was pretty adamant yesterday. None of that happened.
All right, so what is he saying? Is he saying that was somebody with another person's wife or girlfriend? Who knows? Yeah, who knows? I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm not telling you that it was something salacious like that. I'm not telling you that Craig's right in any of this situation. But this idea that Adam Schefter came on the John Kincaid show today and refuted the report, the only thing he did was say that the Eagles texted him back and said that it wasn't true. That's it. And guess what the Eagles are going to say? That it's not true. Remember Joe Santoliquito and the Carson Wentz article a couple of years ago? He was actually, people came to his apartment. He had to leave his apartment. And we're banging on his door. He got death threats because he reported something that turned out to be true. Remember that? Remember how all of a sudden Carson Wentz then became public enemy number one because all the things that Joe Santoliquito reported a few years before, people were like, wow, that actually was true. But no one worries about Joe Santoliquito. So all I'm saying is just remember, reporters or even media personalities have information that the general public doesn't. A lot of times they don't share that information, right? Like I've heard a lot of stuff over the years. I don't say it on the air because I don't know if it's true. I'm not trying to confirm it. That's just not my job. Craig decided to come out and put something that obviously is out there in some circles. Here's more.
Look, I think people are looking for a reason that their season went south. And I just think that they got blown out at home by the Niners. The season from there unraveled. They never were able to get it together. It was injuries. It was chemistry. It was confidence. It was momentum. It was all those things. Was somebody sleeping with somebody else's woman? Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, so maybe I don't know. So let's review again. So what exactly did he add to that? Steve, I need your help on this. Uncle Jamie's coming on in a second as well, because I need to hear what he has to think about this. What did he add to that interview? Why am I reading everywhere that Adam Schefter, just looking at it, Adam Schefter responds to wild claim about Eagles collapse. Unfounded rumors, Schefter shuts down report of Eagles drama. Did he shut down any report of the Eagles drama there? Or did he say someone from the Eagles text messaged him back and said that shit's not true? He just said he doesn't know what happened. Literally in his own words.
He absolutely did not shut anything down. But if anything, that means something did happen. It's more cover up. Like you said, being used as a mouthpiece.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what happened. Now let's bring up the D Gunn tweet here. So D Gunn, who I respect a lot. Do you have the tweet? All right. Yep. So D Gunn, who I respect a lot, as far as any of the reporters that have been on the beat for a long time, and he's not doing the day-to-day stuff yet, or like right now, he hasn't done it for a couple years. So he probably doesn't know the young players, but he certainly knows the guys that have been there for a long time, and they trust him. They do. So let me just, I'm sorry. I thought I had it, but do you have to share?
Yes, I do.
All right. What is it? You don't have it.
It's like, I do.
According to sources. No, here it is. According to sources, yeah. Jalen, big contract, pulled in numerous directions on and off the field, put him under a lot of pressure he didn't handle well. Big Dom suspended, controls Sirianni emotions on sidelines. In his absence, Nick gets in numerous arguments with players, coaches during the games. So, all right, let's unpack that for a second. So, according to his sources, and I would say knowing, it's probably from a veteran player or two, and maybe someone within the front office, but probably from a veteran player or two that isn't trying to put stuff out there to make this a bigger shitstorm, but it's just trying to say like, hey, listen, Jalen got the big contract. It wasn't something he experienced before, and all of a sudden he's getting pulled here, he's getting pulled there, and he probably didn't handle it as well as he would have liked to, looking back in hindsight, right? Like that's not crazy. And by the way, that part of the tweet right there, I don't think is crazy at all. We see it. Like guys haven't been there before. Now he gets a $200 million contract. Now he's the toast of the town. He's the toast of the NFL. And he's getting media opportunities in the offseason. And he's doing commercials and he's doing movies and he's doing all this other stuff. And, like maybe he didn't handle it well. Maybe he didn't handle being the starting star quarterback as well as he could have with his teammates and things like that. I don't know. But like that's, to me, that tweet right there is like, all right, like I could totally see that. The Big Dom stuff is insane. Big Dom suspended. He controls Sirianni emotions on sideline. In his absence, Nick gets in numerous arguments with players, coaches during the game. So we're being led to believe, and this is, Derek, who has vested sources, that Big Dom is more or less controlling wins or losses for this Eagles team. When he's there, Sirianni's in line and he's not trying to fight his players or coaches. But the minute he's suspended, Sirianni can't control himself. Like, doesn't that tell you they have the wrong head coach?
If you're a grown man and you can't control yourself, I don't know what to tell you.
But we've seen we've seen his emotions. We've seen last year after they beat the Colts, after Frank Reich got fired, and he was, that was for Frank. Or like he was yelling at the fans in the stands, or what he did after the Chiefs game this year. Yeah. Like, we've seen him act. He's an emotional guy, right? Which is fine. You're going to be an emotional guy, but when you're a head coach of an NFL team, you can't have those same kind of emotions like that. And we saw him going back and forth with some players. And guess what? Those guys get tired of that shit, right? They don't want to be showing up by their coach on the sidelines. And you can't control yourself. Like, all right, like good heart coaching's fine. Stuff in the heat of the moment's fine. But if we're being told that Nick didn't handle himself well because Dom wasn't there to stop fights, then like you got the wrong head coach, fellas. I mean,
you shouldn't need your bodyguard to be breaking up fights between the head coach and multiple players. Or even if that is the case, why is there someone that physically has to be able to remove him from a situation? It's happened that many times that he needs a bodyguard to do that?
I've never heard of something so ridiculous. This guy he's not even a coach. It's not like that. It's like, oh, well, never like when Frank Reich left, Doug struggled with replacing an offensive coordinator, and John DeFilippo left. And it's like you could tell he missed having those coaches on his staff. He struggled without them. Sirianni struggles without Dom there on the field to control them from fighting the players and the coaches. Like, what are we talking about here? This is unbelievable.
I mean, Dom's a legend, though. Let's be real.
I love Dom, and I'm not telling you that he's not the best security guy in the world. But what are the security guys you know on any other teams?
Not a single one.
Not one. No, there's the one guy that holds. Is it Sean Payton back? There's one of the coaches that its job is literally to make sure.
Isn't it McVay?
It's McVay. Yes, yeah. McVay has the guy. That's right. Thank you.
The get back coach.
Yes, the get back coach.
Dabo Sweeney has it at Clemson too, which I utterly hate.
I hate Dabo too. Yeah. Yeah, so now just make sure that Dom's earned himself a raise then. If they can't win without Dom on the sidelines, fuck having a quarterback. Just have Dom. What do you need to pay any players for?
He's got like 9 job titles or something like that too.
Damn it, I wish I would have. The Brandon Graham show the day after he got thrown out of the game, he came to Chickies and Pete's, which I couldn't believe he did. He came to Chickies and Pete's, and I didn't want to ask him for a selfie. It's one of the biggest stories in sports that next day.
Right. It was national.
And I've known Dom for years. I was like, dude, I could really use something from my Instagram. If I took a picture tonight with Dom here, like, oh, man, I'd be loving that. I didn't, though, because I tried. And then everybody else is doing it with him. And he's loving all the attention. It sucked. Why didn't I get that picture? Damn it, Dom. All right. Well, listen, Delco Steve, you're my producer on this show right now. But Uncle Jamie, once upon a time on the Marks and Reese show, was, like you, an unpaid producer, but still an associate producer of the Marks and Reese show. What's up, Uncle Jamie?
What's up there, John Marks? Delco Steve, how you guys doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
All right.
I want to know what your BS meter says on the Jalen Hurts, Craig Carton.
Yeah, so the Carton thing, I mean, there's a grain of truth there. I'm sure he heard something there. AJ and Jalen were out. Some of the guys were out. Something happened with the girls. There was a fight between the girls. Something happened, right? I don't think Jalen's sleeping with AJ's girl or vice versa or whatever. But something happened on a personal level between those guys. I think that's what he's referring to. I think if you go to the Derek Gunn side of things, I think that's more realistic. I think he's tied into BG. I think he's tied into Fletch, Lane, the guys on the team for a long time. And those are the guys that are telling him what they told him. And I think that's the relevant thing to focus on. That I think Jalen got the big contract. He didn't know how to handle it. I think if you look at the Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes kind of thing, how could they repeat? Andy Reid's got 20 plus years of experience. He knows what to expect. He knows how to counsel these guys. He knows how to manage the personalities. Sirianni doesn't. Right? He's a new coach, but he doesn't have the mental capacity to manage, especially in this town.
He's too emotional.
Struggled in this town.
Yep.
It's not easy. So you couple that together, you get Jalen on different places. They go 10-1. They get blown out by the Niners, blown out by the Cowboys, and boom, the thing explodes. And you figure the veterans, those guys in the locker room, the Kelseys, the Fletch, the BGs could pull it together. They couldn't. Everything just collapsed. Then they start making bad decisions. Desai gets benched, right? They change.
Well, they totally freaked out, and then everything went
absolutely. And then it all just momentum spilled, and that's what happened. So, do I believe there's something there with what Carton said? Sure. I don't think he would come out with that without there being something happen. But I don't think it's anything substantial other than those guys probably had a personal issue. Something personally happened between those two.
See, I'll agree and I'll disagree with you because I worry less about the details because I have no idea what the details are, right? Like I don't, who knows what he's talking about, and the way he framed it, he knew what he was doing the way he framed it.
Yeah.
But the part that I paid attention to what he said was that he didn't think it was repairable, and I'm not sure if it's repairable. Because you don't go from being a 10-1 team and the best team in the NFL and beating real teams, not beating bad teams and you were fluky, beating real teams. Kansas City, Super Bowl champion, on the road, Monday Night Football. The Bills game was excellent. And maybe the 49ers just beat them and that really took all of their confidence out of them. But there was something internally going on. And that now has to be fixed. Now that can't linger in the 2024 because just that being there and Craig saying, I don't know if that can be fixed. And if you just also pay attention to this. Never Kevin Byard said at the end of the year, he said that he was talking about the leaks and he's like, there's leaks everywhere on this team. Yeah. I remember that first leak that came out. I think it was talking about Jalen, but I remember Brandon BG, like he kind of gave me a look like, really, this is what we're doing already? We're already having people coming out and talking to the media? Because those guys know. For all the fans out there that think that that media members just make stuff up, and I get why you say that, because there are the Adam Schefters of the world that just throw out bullshit, and because they think that it's just that people will talk about it, because they do, right? They state the obvious and say, oh, well, this team will be interested and that team will be interested because some agent told them what to say, right? Like A.J. Brown when he got traded, Julio Jones when he got traded from the Falcons to was it the Titans? Where did he go? Yeah, like Titans. Diana Rossini put out there, reported that there were multiple teams that were offering first-round draft picks for him, which was bullshit. The team gives them that to try to stir up the trade market. She puts it out there. All she has to do is call the agent or try to fact-check it to find out if it's really true, but they don't do that. They just put it out there because what do they care? It's a tweet. And then boom, off to the next thing. So Adam Schefter's full of shit for anything he has to say about Craig Carton. But like, besides all that, if they can't come back in 2024 and legitimately have moved on from this, and if you don't have the head coach, like the head coach is more emotional than all of them, and that's the problem. Like he's fighting. Like I like Nick. I like that Nick Sirianni actually has some life to him, but like, man, he's like a position coach. Position coaches can act like that. Head coaches can't act like that. So I mean. Jamie, what confidence do you have heading into next year? I mean, we're not even talking about the personnel on the team, which is terrible.
I'm old enough to remember, and certainly you are, to remember back to the McNabb and T.O. thing. I mean, really lived the McNabb and T.O. thing. Steve's probably too young to have lived it like we did. And, you can extrapolate that to what's going on right now, if you really want to say, between A.J. and Jalen. And that's what Carton, I think, is pointing towards, that something happened between those guys. Is it repairable? It seems like the relationship has been damaged. There was a personal relationship between those two guys, and that relationship has been damaged. Can they turn it around? Of course they can. The NFL is a year-to-year league, right? You get the momentum going again next year. Can you turn it around? Yeah.
But can they turn it around if can those guys turn it around? Because if they're at odds, it's never going to work.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. And I'm sure AJ in some degree has a little pent-up emotion about Jalen getting 250 and he's got him 100, and those two are brothers and competitors, and I'm sure there's some hard feelings between those two guys. I think AJ feels that he's as important or more important than Jalen to the team, and he's getting paid less than half of what Jalen's getting paid, and that kind of thing for a group like those guys, that can make a real difference, man. And you can lose a guy like AJ because you're not going to lose Jalen, right? Where's he going? He's got the contract.
Nope.
So you could lose a guy like AJ, and you're talking top 3 receiver in the league. You can't lose it. It's got to work out. They got to figure out a way to work it out. I think Lori and Howie 100% know what happened. I think they could put their thumb on it. Those guys are smart. If they felt that it was not repairable, and believe me, he fired Doug Peterson, the hero of Philadelphia, who won us a Super Bowl. They fired Doug Peterson because he didn't give them the right answer. He wouldn't comport to what they wanted him to do. They kept Sirianni for a reason. They got to figure that he's going to be able to fix it. This is a big brand. The Eagles are a big brand, man. They're not gonna let Sirianni have it unless
I don't
fix it.
They fired Doug Peterson, but Doug Peterson didn't fight for the job. And I get what you're saying. Like, if Jeffrey Lurie felt like Nick Sirianni's not going to turn this around, why would you waste another year? But I believe Doug Peterson was fired because he came in and was like, Press Taylor will be my offensive coordinator. Matt Burke will be my defensive coordinator. And we'll be fine. And Jeffrey Lurie's like, what are you talking about? You're gonna win 4 games again next year.
Right.
Sirianni came in and said, what do I need to do?
Right.
Like, what quarter? Like, he gave up his offense.
Right.
Nick Sirianni legitimately, it's like he's an offensive head coach and now doesn't have an offense.
Right.
So they have to bring in an offensive coordinator that's going to run a different offense now. He's not only not calling plays, he's not running his offense. So I think that's what saved his job. I have zero confidence that Nick Sirianni's turning this around next year.
Yeah,
Zero.
I mean, extrapolate it to the rest of the division, right? If not for the dysfunction of the Cowboys and their grand implosion in the playoffs, Sirianni's probably out, right? Because then the Cowboys probably steamroll in some degree, maybe to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl, So, yeah, I think you're in a division. Washington's transitioning. Giants, Daniel Jones, really. Cowboys.
It's not a bad team. It's just it's not a Super Bowl team. This team will still win 9-10 games, right? At least.
Yeah, I gotta believe the 10-1 is more than the 1-5.
So here's my problem, and Tim puts this up there, and I disagree, and I wish I agreed, but I disagree because Howie doesn't punt on seasons. Howie we see how many times have we seen him do it? He can't sustain it, and he needs to do it all over again. But he's good at it. He can take a team that has some good, like their offense. They're good on offense. Their line's good enough. They have 2 good wide receivers. Jalen Hurts is still a good quarterback. They'll be able to run the ball. Defense, he's going to have to find some veteran pieces, and he's going to have to be creative with trades or free agency or whatever.
They got good draft capital this year. It's not like they don't
have that second round pick.
Yeah, man, they got real draft capital this year, so they can draft some players. Do we have confidence in their draft machinery? For many years, the Eagles weren't the best drafters, so do we have confidence they can draft some impact defensive players that can start next year? Jalen Carter, impact defensive player, typical. Waned as the year went down.
But also defensive line. They can't draft corners. They can draft linemen.
Right.
They can't draft corners, and before Devontae Smith, they couldn't draft wide receivers for a long time.
Well, Snead from Kansas City is a free agent. He would be a plug-in, right? Vic Fangio kind of guy, to stick in the back. You got to figure what's Fangio going to want. I think Fangio, if you look at his styling, he likes that joker, strong safety, to be part of his blitz packages. So I think you're going to see a lot. Fangio is going to have the full keys to the defense, and you're going to see his impact on the draft and who they get. I think you're going to be super strong in the middle and back next year. I think if anywhere, they're going to hold court. I think they might give Fletcher $8 million, right? They give him $7-8 million. Fletcher gives a hometown discount. He stays. I think you're going to be strong in the middle and strong in the back. I think that's their strategy. That's Fangio. That's what he runs.
Yeah. He'll be an upgrade for sure. Fangio will be an upgrade. I think it's still a good team. It just they aren't who I just like I want what I see from other teams, which is like look at Kansas City. Their defense is built through the draft, right? It took a couple years. Their defense wasn't very good a few years ago. Now it's the strength of their team. Without their defense this year, I don't know where they are. But like Howie's so good at just kind of like, and we've seen them do it now. 2017, there was no expectation they were going to be all that good. They won a Super Bowl. Last year, I think everybody looked at the roster, or now 2 years ago, I guess. But anyway, like Howie has shown a real knack for being able to turn things around. And he's going to have a lot of work to do on defense. They're going to need 2 corners. They're going to need a safety. They're going to need a linebacker or 2. Their line's probably good enough, but it's Hassan Reddick going to be back. There's just so many unanswered questions.
Yeah. I mean, but if they always say, right, in the current NFL, the new NFL, you got to have a big offense. You're going to throw the ball downfield. You got to have a big score, a lot of points. Look at the Chiefs this past year. I mean, talk about a template for winning. I mean, the offense for the large part of the year was lousy. I mean,
lousy.
Lousy. A Super Bowl champion, but man, that
he was lousy.
Yeah, he was 100%.
He was lousy. Mahomes was lousy
no
this
doubt.
year.
No
and
doubt.
that defense carried them. They're wide receivers. It looked like it was going to come back to bite them. It looked like Andy Reid Eagles wide receivers.
What wide receivers? I mean, to think about, the NFL was mediocre this year, to be honest. But think about, the job that the Chiefs did to win that Super Bowl again. I mean, that's a big one, man. With that team, that was not their strongest team.
All right. No, Rob, instead of complaining, bring something meaningful. Stop acting as if you haven't heard anything. Yeah, I am saying to you that I have heard things. They're non-specific. And it'd be irresponsible if I did hear something to actually give details that I couldn't confirm. You understand how it works, Rob? Right? Like, yeah, am I not saying as much as I know? Yes, I am. Do I really know what happened? I don't. Because I don't know anybody that does know actually what happened.
Well, I know. I mean, there is
Uncle
one person.
Jamie does.
Not me. No. Don't be crazy. Herb Rifkin. From Northeast Philly, he knows.
He certainly does.
Let's be honest. He knows.
Well, listen. A lot of
He was rambling all night last night. He would have told us if he knew something.
Of course. Well, there's a lot of stuff you gotta filter through, Steve. There's a lot of stuff you gotta go through.
I'm just starting with this, so it's new to me.
There it is. Hashtag hire Herb.
You know what, John? You got on the bottom of the screen here, shop at every little detail, Doc. I'm telling you, tell Liz right now, hashtag hire Herb, man. First game of the season, we have that on our backs down at Lincoln Financial.
Well,
you'll be in Brazil, but whatever. We talked
about legitimately a T-shirt. So much that Herb's texting me asking me how much he'll get paid off of each T-shirt that we do. It becomes less appealing when I have to share the profits with Herb.
Cutting Herb royalty checks.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. If we move because with this book that he's not writing, but he says he's writing, he wants to have a T-shirt with each book to give out that he sells. And I'm like, sure, Herb.
It's like Kramer from Seinfeld. He had the coffee table book. It was about coffee tables.
It's what I think of Kramer and Herb a lot being the same person.
Absolutely, right? Same guy,
different life.
Same guy walking in the door. So
Kramer reincarnated.
Yeah, all right, no doubt.
So Jamie, Uncle Jamie, also is the general manager of Central City Toyota, located conveniently on Chestnut Street.
Indeed.
So if you're in the market for a new or used car, he's the
Central
place
City
to go.
or ardmoretoyota.com. Check us out. 53 years in business. So yeah. So my 30th year there. So yeah, and both of John's cars are from us. So
yeah, in fact, I think every car since
I've
been an adult has been.
But I'll tell you, the best purchase he ever made was that Sienna hybrid. The car is worth more now than he paid for it when it rolled off the lot. So talk about gold that car is.
Steve, do you know what a Sienna hybrid is? It's a minivan.
It's one of those runs on electric and gas at the same time. There was just a fight in the Flyers game.
Oh,
he's watching a fight. It's a minivan.
Did you watch the Stadium Series Islanders Rangers, Steve? Did you see that?
I passed out during this second intermission.
I got you. Well, first minute of the game, two guys stand at the middle of the ice and start fighting. Yep. I mean, the fights have become cliche in the NHL anymore.
Some of them are. Some of them 100% are.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
There's no real fights. They just go out there and no.
I mean, these guys just went at it.
I'm old enough I remember when there was I'm old enough to be alive when there was a Flyers parade. I was 3 or 4 years old, but I was alive, man. And there were real fights back then. Guys like missing teeth, that kind of stuff. Now they dropped their gloves at the beginning of the game.
Most penalty minutes in a game is Flyers Ottawa. When I was like a kid, I was probably like 10 or 11. Donald Brashear started a huge fight, and the next 3 line shifts were just full line brawls.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I remember
there was 10 guys left in the game total.
I remember the Legion of Doom era in the Sabres. They would always meet in the playoffs, and you would get goalie fights, and you would have everybody fighting on the ice.
Let me tell you, I remember going to see the Legion of Doom and seeing how big Lindros and Leclerc were on the ice, man. Those guys
with
were
those
monsters.
skates on, they're like 7 foot.
Oh my God, they're monsters.
And Lindros had, depending on when in his career, but he had no body fat. I was just reading something on him, but he was jacked, and he was mean, and he was big, and he was fast.
Remember, talk about a Philadelphia story. Steve from Delco, that you're probably too young to remember, but the whole Eric Lindros saga with Bobby Clark and his father and all of that went on. I mean, that was big story back then.
I remember Lindros' way out the door. That was
okay,
fun.
But
yeah.
But I was a kid. I was definitely a kid.
Yeah.
I was invested at that point too.
For a long time, he was. You talked more Flyers than you did anything but Eagles.
Yeah,
you didn't talk about the Phillies. You talked about Eric Lindros because it's not about the sport; it's about the personality in the sport. And he had everything. He was young. He was brash. He was out on the town a lot. He used to run. I guess Lindros is a little bit older than me, but there was a club down on Delaware Avenue, Club Deco. It was an after-hours club.
Yeah.
So you would have mobsters in there, and you would have Eric Lindros in there. It'd be 3 o'clock in the morning.
Joey Merlino. That was Joey Merlino's spot. Yeah. That's how we got to know. That's how he was a huge Flyers fan. That's where they all used to meet.
John, how old are you? Lindros is 50.
I'm 47.
Yeah,
so
I'm 53, so he's my contemporary.
Right. And I remember going to Deco, and I was like, "Is that Eric Lindros over there?" Yeah. It's like, "Is that Joey Merlino?" They weren't together, by the way, just for the record, but they were both in Club Deco. And I'm like, "Holy shit! I got to get out of here, man. We do not need to be here right now." But the famous story with Joey Merlino was sitting in Eric Lindros' seats.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Steve? So the reputed mob boss, Joey Merlino, was sitting in Eric Lindros' seats.
Yeah.
So the connection, because they ran, I don't want to say in the same circles, but they were kind of running in the same circles, was that, Lindros gave him the seats. Merlino has a podcast right now. That's out there. That's becoming very popular.
Yeah.
And he addressed it on the podcast, and he's funny. He's like, he bought them off a ticket agent. So Lindros has these seats, and he's just selling them like want to make your tickets or something like that. So Merlino's just going and buying it off ticket brokers to get good seats. He happens to buy Eric Lindros' seats. So Lindros didn't give him the tickets, at least according to Joey Merlino, and I'm pretty sure Joey Merlino would tell the truth.
Yeah, at this point, he'll tell the truth. Yeah, no doubt.
He sure will. Yeah, I remember when he called Eskin too. Joey Merlino.
Philadelphia lore tonight. We go from the Eagles to Philadelphia history there. That's Philadelphia history lesson,
Yeah, getting Joey on the show. I thought about it. His co-host for the podcast, I thought about getting on too, because he's pretty cool. All right, so CentralCityToyota.com, ArdmoreToyota.com. Get your car, get your service from Uncle Jamie.
That's it.
And now, Steve, just so you know, he may be vying to be an associate unpaid producer of the show.
He's been great all night, so why not?
Steve, I'm going to give you this. Steve, just give me your cell, and then I'll send you content. That's what I used to do. I used to send it to John for Jack. Send a little content every now and then. Perfect. Boom. Then you go. You run with it. I don't need any attribution.
Yeah. Jack would be in there on Twitter not paying attention, and Jamie's sending me ideas, and you're like, yeah, but like this person said this. And I'm like, oh, he's actually producing the show during the show. I'm like half falling asleep on the air, and Jack's in there on Twitter. At least someone was paying attention.
That's it.
It's funny. Someone brought up earlier that I haven't tweeted since 2001 after I put my Twitter up there. I put it up there so people can send me information. That was the idea. So I don't need to say anything. Just send me stuff so then I can use it.
Right. Yeah. Well,
you're not a content provider, Steve. You're a content passer on.
Distributor.
Yeah, distributor.
He
distribute what I find.
He can barely spell. Steve was my intern. Many years ago. He
cannot
spell
worth a damn.
Right.
So.
I don't know, Steve. You're in at the beginning with JohnMarks.com. I mean, he's becoming his own brand here. So you're in at the foundation points. Good stuff.
Perfect timing. Perfect.
All right, Uncle Jamie, get some sleep, man. We'll talk.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks, Uncle Jamie.
All right. See you later.
Uncle Jamie. There's a lot of people liking Uncle Jamie as a guest.
Dude, he's very affluent speaker, very crisp.
He could have done this. He could have very easily done this. He at one point, I think he went to school for politics. He was writing speeches for political speeches and things like that. And then, he makes too much money in the car business. That's really what it comes.
I can understand why he makes too much money in the car business. I'd buy a car off him if I didn't have cars that I love.
Right. Well, what kind of cars do you have? You look like a Ford or a Mustang.
I still got the Camaro, brother. I'm still got it, baby. He's right out back.
Oh man, did you change your own oil?
No.
No,
not that big of a car guy.
You're not going to Advanced Auto Parts and buying oil filters and shit like that?
Nah, I got a guy.
Yeah, Yeah, me too. It's called a dealer or Pet Boys. All right. Well, thanks to Uncle Jamie for jumping on there. Yeah, like I hate Adam Schefter. I despise Adam Schefter. You don't.
I love him. I love him for what he is because he's the best at what he does at getting information as quick as possible, getting it out as quick as possible.
Shit. Like
but when you start adding those tidbits in, I get what you mean.
But like I'm fine with like because he's just being given information. Not, like what do I care? Yeah, I follow him on Twitter. I go to him on Twitter because I want information. But he's still a jerk off.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, like he's like, the National Enquirer. Dude, your friggin' network's the National Enquirer for like 6 hours a day. Do you realize that between Get Up and First Take, I don't even know what else is on the network because I don't even watch it. But you know why you have those shows on in the morning when there's not a ton of people watching? Because it sets up your network for the rest of the day. And then you can put the stuff online and you can have the clips on ESPN.com and everything goes out on social media. And then all the other sites that are looking for content to put out there, they're like, oh, look what Stephen A. Smith said today. Or look what this guy said today. You think Rex Ryan is on Get Up because he's this great NFL
It can break down film and
like,
all that.
Like, what are we talking about? The most interesting personalities are what they bring on for good reason. They know the formula. So let's not act like Adam Schefter that you're friggin' Woodward and Bernstein for crying out loud. I mean, Jesus, Carton's doing the same thing you are. Carton's doing the exact same thing that ESPN is doing. Now, like I think he did it in a shitty way, putting it out there like that. I do. But like it doesn't mean that he's wrong. And that's really, as an Eagle fan, that's the only thing you should be worried about.
That's the main issue, though. It's just the way he went about it is the issue. And then just to stir the pot and not give any context whatsoever.
Yeah, no, like it was shitty, for sure. But like again, why do we care what Craig Carton? Why do we care that Craig Carton put it out there the way that he put it out there? Right? Like either you believe that there's something going on or it's not. Either you believe that there really is something major in the locker room or you don't. I believe that this was a major internal issue with the Eagles. This was beyond X's and O's, and I don't think you have the head coach to deal with this kind of crap. So you can do what you did with T.O. and with Donovan. And I've seen a lot of people say this, and I've had a lot of people say this to me, which is AJ's too talented, make it work. They tried that with T.O. They said, T.O., we don't care if you want more money, make it work. And you see how that blew up in your face. So just watch it. Yep. Just realize that it may not work.
So when you were talking about what your confidence level for next year is with Sirianni, I think there's only two outcomes, really. I think they either do get back on track, like we were talking about with Uncle Jamie, or he goes like 0-4 to start the season and he's not the head coach sort of thing. Like there's no like happy middle ground.
I agree. Yeah, it's a really, really bad spot for Sirianni to be.
I think that if they lose week one, and there's actually reports saying it might be the Bears against week one, or not Bears, Browns. That's a long flight home for Rio if they lose to the Browns week one. As the host team, the center of attention.
It could get ugly early. Well, and if Cleveland
comes out, it could get ugly real quick.
If it looks like it did last year at the end of the year, where guys are like, "Yeah, we don't believe in this," I agree with you. It gets ugly real quick, real quik.
I mean, like we were talking about last night, they were fighting week 2 and they won both games.
Yep.
It's like so if they go down to Rio, national world broadcast pretty much on the
Friday night game ever.
Yep. And they embarrass themselves. Shit, it's going to get hot real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
obviously, I'm not hoping that happens. I'm just stating the fact.
The whole Schefter breaks a shit ton of stories. Like, what are we talking about here? Yes, he's given information, and he puts a lot of information out there. Because if I was Adam Schefter, and you give him credit for putting himself in the situation to be the ESPN top guy, he's the top NFL insider in all of media. No doubt about it. He makes a ton of money for it.
Yep.
I'm not disputing that. Doesn't make him he's not a reporter. The only thing he's doing is he's cutting and pasting and putting it on Twitter. That's all that he does. He doesn't know anything what he's talking about. He doesn't even realize when he says something how stupid it sounds sometimes. We got to play it again. I got to play it again with John Kincaid. Got to play it again because like literally, and all of the stories, just like and this is what drives me crazy. I'm looking to find out. I'm like, unfounded rumors. Schefter shuts down report of Eagles drama. Adam Schefter shoots down vague reporting from Fox host. Adam Schefter equates Craig Carton's NFL reporting to the National Enquirer. Blah, 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 blah. He didn't shoot it down. All that he said was that he said, so let's listen to it. Here's Adam Schefter on the John
Yesterday,
Kincaid show.
a report on Fox Sports 1, I'm even, not to call it a report. You had a broadcaster saying he knows the real reason that the Eagles season collapsed last year, but he wouldn't share it and talk about it. When you look at what happened to the Eagles and what you know about what happened to the Eagles down the stretch, can you point to anything that you could lend an ear to, or was it more of a breakdown collectively across the board, coaching, playing, and all kinds of other factors?
But by the way, I don't even know if the National Enquirer would write something like that.
We agreed at the beginning of today's show that it was a capital B bullcrap, but that's where we were.
And by the way, I texted somebody in the organization yesterday. I'm like, what is this? And the text back, the quote was, none of that S word happened. None of that S happened.
Good.
Now.
Good.
I don't get the good either. It's like what they called it bullcrap, and they're now Schefter.
Right now, it's like, yeah, see, I told you it's bullcrap. Again, how Craig presented it, you can say it's bullcrap. How does anybody know that that's actually bullcrap? Unless you personally know.
We won't know until it actually comes out. Plain and simple.
We don't know. Yeah, and Vince brings up a good point. He said a reporter. Well, I mean, listen, I don't. I'm sure that Adam Schefter knows who Craig Carton is, but yeah. So anyway, here's more.
I don't know. I'm just telling you that and that's what qualifies as a report. You can just go say whatever you want, and it gets clicks, and people hear about it.
It's what you do for a living. It's what you and the other insiders do for a living. What are you talking about? Craig's doing the same thing you are, except he's doing it in a different way.
Was somebody with another player's woman, or who knows?
He didn't say
who
that.
knows? I'm just telling you, somebody in the organization, was pretty adamant yesterday. None of that happened. Look, I think people are looking for a reason that their season went south, and I just think that they got blown out at home by the Niners. The season from there unraveled. They never were able to get it together. It was injuries. It was chemistry. It was confidence. It was momentum. It was all those things.
Sorry.
That's right. So anyway, he says at the end there, he says that he's like, did something, he said, like, mess around with a girlfriend or a wife. He's like, I don't know. So he more or less in that interview said he has no idea what happened, but he added that he spoke with somebody from the Eagles. He texted somebody from the Eagles, and they said that shit didn't happen. So if you're an actual reporter, then how about you come out and say, I talked to Eagles GM Howie Roseman, and he denied. But first of all, what did Craig even say? That's the real part. Is Craig was he was
whoever his co-host said it was one of three things. It's something women.
Right. Like so. What exactly?
It was whoever the co-host was.
Right. So what exactly are they denying? Are they denying that story? I mean, yeah. I mean, all right. Maybe that didn't happen, but was there an internal problem in the locker room? Like that's the next question that should be asked. That's where Adam Schefter should also be like, now, I did speak with somebody from the Eagles, and they did say this or they did say that. More or less, he just said, yeah, I texted somebody from the Eagles, and they said that shit didn't happen. And that's the big story.
And then proceed to say, I don't know if any of that did happen, but...
Right. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that the spot that Schefty coming on weekly is brutal. I'm telling you, it's probably their highest rated segment that they have on the show. And it's great because when he comes on and doesn't say anything, but he just says that he spoke with somebody on the Eagles and they said that it was shit. I mean, it was all over the place, right? Believe me, the Schefter stuff, and I'm no fan of Schefter, but the Schefter stuff for that show is valuable. It's probably their highest rated segment that they have on the show because he does come on and his name is Adam Schefter. But anyway, yeah, so there you go. That's what you have. You have Adam Schefter coming on today, and now everybody's writing like, oh, Adam Schefter refuted the report. No, he didn't. In fact, he said he didn't know. He has no idea what happened. He literally said that. So, anyway. All right, what else do we want to get here? All right, so why don't we play Dan Sileo, who is, he's on Jacob Media. He's a former, I think he was in like he was in training camp, maybe with the Cowboys and the Bucks. He maybe played with the Bucks. but he is a radio host who has found his way out of the radio business based on his behavior and his last job. He only lasted like a week because old tweets had been uncovered. So anyway, but apparently his show is very popular on Jacob Media. And here's Dan Sileo talking about Nick Sirianni.
Mature for the job. Nick Sirianni is not qualified to be the head football coach of the Philadelphia Eagles because of his immaturity and his inability to motivate players. He is not qualified to be the head coach of the Eagles. He's not. The players in that building are the reason they won 11 games. The reason you lost the Super Bowl in 22 is because of that man. If Doug's your coach, you win it.
Huh.
He's not qualified.
Very emotional. Dan Sileo.
He is not qualified to be your head football coach. He's just not.
All right, well, dynamite stuff from Sileo. But I mean, remember when Mike Lombardi
wins Super Bowl with Doug Peterson's the head coach either, by the way.
Right. Yeah, no, agree. No, I actually thought serious. So here's where I'm, because I'm so far out on Sirianni now, but I thought really, and I don't know how much of this was him and how much of this was like the eye in the sky helping him with it, but you didn't really see a lot of mistakes as far as clock management or timeouts, or like he did a really good job of managing the game. He seemed like he had, especially after he gave up the play calling, like they weren't in the fourth quarter with no timeouts because they kept screwing up and they had to take timeouts. Like I thought he did a really, really good job with all that stuff. And even this year, that wasn't a problem. But you're at a point with the Eagles where you have to now figure out, I mean, you have to fix this. And it's one thing to have personnel, and the defense sucked last year. And that's not Nick Sirianni's fault that the defense sucks as bad as it.
And especially the huge drop-off from the historic year they had the year before to having a bad defense. It's one thing to just have a bad defense, but when you go from one extreme to the other, exactly,
you're right.
Issue.
You're right. So can he turn it around? Is he qualified? Well, he almost won a Super Bowl. So I remember Mike Lombardi saying that Doug Peterson was the worst hire. Or what did he even say? Mike Lombardi for the Super Bowl year, at least qualified,
most unqualified head coach,
and they won a Super Bowl that year. So sometimes you are qualified, but it doesn't mean that you can do it every year. Like the one thing the Eagles have shown is that they have not been able to sustain their success with the same group of players. 2017 they won a Super Bowl. 2018 they went back to the playoffs. With Nick again at the end of the year. 2019, they went to the playoffs. Carson got hurt, but you could see they went downhill from the Super Bowl, boom, boom, and then about 2020, they were cooked. And then Howie turned that roster around quick, and they were back in the playoffs the following year. And then they were right back to where they are right now. So, it's not, but it's really where Howie's at his best, right? When his back's up against the wall and he needs to do a lot of stuff. Oh, he's going to get to do it this year. All right, so that's Dan Sileo. What do we got here? No, I feel like all right, so let's do somebody else that I'm starting to figure out is kind of full of shit. Charles Barkley. This was on the alternate All-Star broadcast, right? So I say this because Sir Charles hates Skip Bayless and hates the debate shows and whatever else, and I do too, kind of. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't hate on them. I just don't watch them. I still will listen to the clips. I'll still use them as far as if it's something that we can use, right? Like, we're all in this machine together. We need those guys. Those guys need us for reaction and whatever else. But I realized what Skip Bayless is doing and what Stephen A. Smith is doing is that's his job, right? Like, you're an actor. You don't have to be an actor that does great movies, right? Like Morgan Freeman and Robert De Niro are great actors. You know what else they do? They do a lot of bad movies because they pay. So everybody has a profession. This guy's this is what they do. But Charles doesn't realize he does the same thing. He just does it in different ways. So here's Charles Barkley on the All-Star broadcast. Listen. He's talking to Draymond.
Let's not
Green.
have another All-Star in Indiana. Let's let this be the last one, my friend. Come on, man.
Was it the snow,
You spent enough time here, Reggie. You don't need to come back for All-Star.
Was it the minus, the 17 degrees?
Hey, Reggie. Yes. If you had a chance of being cold or being around a bunch of homeless crooks in San Francisco, when you
that's crazy. You're not welcome. They're not letting you in. You're not welcome.
We love San Francisco.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
You can't even walk around down there.
Yes, you can walk around.
Yeah, with a bulletproof vest and security.
You live in Philadelphia,
that little red button on that microphone that says cough, you just hold that.
All right. So while it's funny, and I agree with him because San Francisco is a toilet, and
I'm surprised he said it.
You can't walk around downtown. And by the way, it's next year's All-Star game. That's where next year's All-Star game is. So I think that's why they brought it up. But
And the Super Bowl's in 2 years, I think.
Right. It's Santa Clara. You're right. But you can't walk around. You can't walk around San Francisco. Just Google businesses leaving San Francisco. They can't keep businesses there. I had a buddy that travels a lot for work, and he told me he was in San Francisco and he stayed at like a 5-star hotel, and he goes out like the bellhop. He's like, "Hey, where can I go to eat or whatever?" And he's like, "You're walking?" He's like, "Nah, I wouldn't do that." He's like, "All right." He's like, "You can go down that street." He's like, "But do not take a left, only take a right, because you will get mugged." And again, he's in a 5-star hotel, and he's just trying to walk a couple blocks downtown to go get something to eat. And people shit on the sidewalk. Like literally, it's like a toilet on the sidewalk. So Charles isn't wrong, but here's my point. Right? Like Charles tries to act like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith and those guys need to be having real sports conversations, and they can't be speculating, or they can't say, "Oh, well, Brady is 75% of the reason why they won the Super Bowls and Belichick's only 25%. It's like, you're not allowed to do that. You can't call Pat Mahomes the second best quarterback yet. You got to let him finish his career. But yet, this is what he does. This is what makes him funny, and this is what makes him great. Like, he's not giving you basketball analysis. He's ripping an entire city and saying you need a bulletproof vest if you're going to go there. I mean, he's right. He's funny. But, like, he's doing the same thing there that Skip Bayless is doing. He's just doing it
in a different medium.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, come on. Chuck, like, yeah, like, and this one right here.
The pot first kettle.
Yeah, I can't, like, Skip Bayless, it is.
That does give me joy. I'm not going to lie, though.
But it's funny because it's so bad, and he knows it's bad. He goes over and he looks at the trash can. He hits the foot thing and he throws.
He messes it up.
Yeah, and then he's back the next week or 2 weeks later. Yeah, it's a bit. Like, even in radio,
I think that's the only thing I like about Skip Bayless is that bit.
It's funny, right? When you realize
there's something satisfying about seeing a Cowboys jersey going in the trash. So
there is, but like it's what I try to explain in. I've done a good job of not talking about my wife the last couple days, but it's something that I try to explain to my wife is that, like, we're always searching for our next bit, right? On radio, even on a podcast or something like this. Like, we're always searching for, I don't know, something fun or something different. We're always searching for something else, right? And sometimes that involves your wife or your kids or personal things or whatever, right? And like that, you have to realize that these people are just trying to put content out there to make things interesting. Charles does it better than those guys do. Charles might be the first. I'm trying to think of another athlete.
He gets away with a lot.
He gets away with everything, bro. Everybody loves
He gets away with a lot.
But Charles is a Hall of Fame great player that never won a title. But he was young Charles Barkley, who was under 6'5", would get the rebound off the glass and dribble, drive all the way down, take it behind the back, and slam, and no one could stop him. He was a great player. I respected him so much at being his size and his height, how good of a rebounder he was. He was a really, really, really good player. So easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. But he might be more popular as a broadcaster. Right? Like, you look
he's definitely one of those guys that people younger than me know him more as what he does now than, yeah.
Sure. It's like John Madden. I don't remember.
McAfee go ahead.
No, I don't remember John Madden as the coach at all. He ended his coaching career young.
And the announcer.
I know him as the announcer. You probably know him more for the video game.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know him as a coach. Madden was bigger as an announcer than he ever was as a coach, and he was a Super Bowl winning coach. But yeah, like Charles,
The Rock is an actor over football. All these guys. There's a ton of these guys. You can go down the list.
Oh, The Rock. Dan Silio's actually had The Rock on his show. I was told by somebody.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess.
Apparently, he's the nicest dude ever.
Cilio?
No,
The Rock.
The Rock.
Is he nice?
Apparently.
Are you going to WrestleMania?
My mom is actually.
Your mom's going to WrestleMania?
My mom's going to WrestleMania.
All right, I need more details on that. We're gonna have to get your mom on the show. I need more details.
My mom's two brothers, my two uncles, are special needs, and they're into WWE. So my mom.
So
got
she's
tickets
taking
for,
them.
And then
That's
one
awesome.
might be in trouble. I don't know if there might be an extra ticket available at the moment, but I'm not positive.
That is awesome.
That discussion hasn't been brought up in a while.
All right. Well, she will not see
But yeah,
me
so
there.
my mom will be at WrestleMania.
Maybe this podcast can get on the radio, the WrestleMania Radio Row. I'm telling you, we could easily do it. They don't care. I know the people. I could
I'm
easily.
game. I don't know anything about wrestling, but I'm game.
Yeah. All right. I'm probably not going to do it. I don't really have interest in that. All right. Let's get to one more thing before we get out of here. What do we want to do? All right. Let's do Anthony Rendon, because this is now a couple days old.
This actually pissed me off when you sent this to me earlier.
Yeah. So he is. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. You can play it.
That's never been a top priority for me. This is a job. So I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving.
Is it a priority?
Oh, it's a priority for sure. This is my job. I'm here, aren't I?
Do you want to be here?
I don't want to talk to you guys at 7 in the morning or whatever time it is. So
Do you want to like be here playing baseball?
I have answered your question. So why do you keep picking at it?
Oh,
Because the way you were answering the question.
Thank you.
God, what a jerk off.
Because he's a jerk off?
Well, the reason why the follow-up happened was because the way he was answering his question. They asked, is it a priority? He said, of course.
He said, is it a top priority? He says, no.
Right
off the bat.
So like, listen. If you're religious, I'm not. Your faith in your family should be the top priority in your life. Like, my family is the top priority in my life. Now, I have to work, even though I'm not right now. I have to work to do that. But of course, your job is a priority. But what he says there is he says it's a priority. It's my job. I'm here, aren't I? He gave you no reason to believe that he gives a damn about playing baseball.
And I feel like that, like, if someone's asking you what your priorities are, family's a given. Like that, like, you're doing this for your family. You're making money for your family. Yeah, we get that. We all know that. But like, no, like, is baseball your top priority outside of your family? That's the question. Like that. It's like,
not.
And if you're in that situation, it should be. It should be. You should give a shit.
But he doesn't.
Right. And that's why he pisses me off so much.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, when you look at his contract, he signed a $245 million contract. Of course, in baseball, that's all guaranteed. He's making $38 million this year, $38 million for the next 2 seasons. He'll have made $300 million or so, and they'll end up probably buying him out of that contract before I doubt he finishes his career, because have you seen the numbers that he's put up since he left? He was a really, really good player with the Nationals. And after he signed with the Angels in free agency, his best season was he had 9 home runs, because he can't stay healthy, but he's also he's totally cooked. He's batting 240, 229, 236. He hasn't had more than 217 at bats in any season in the last 4 years. And he signed a $245 million contract. And that's the kind of attitude he has, which is like, it's never been my top priority. All right, we get it. Like, your family's your top priority. If your faith's your top priority, we get it. But it doesn't have to mean that baseball doesn't mean anything to you. So your teammates don't mean anything. Like, what do you think Mike Trout thinks when he hears that guy talk?
I'd be ready to hit him with a bat.
Hey, stuff him in a locker.
This is where I'm pissed. I wasn't 6'4" and actually could have tried to do something in sports. It's like, you got jerk offs like this who have all the ability in the world and they just don't appreciate it. It's just come on.
Yeah. Not sure he says anything wrong here. Yeah, he was honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So guess what happens when you're honest? we react. So if you don't think he said anything wrong, fine. I think he's a jerk off for the way that he answered it. Like the reporters are trying to do their job. They're asking questions. It's clear that it's not a priority, and he says that, oh yeah, it's not. He says it's not my top priority, right? Like you know what? When I worked in radio, and my family means a lot to me, and I have a young family, and it means a lot to me. Do you know how fucking hard I worked to try to be the best that I could be on the radio? How many hours I put in? How many mental hours I thought about it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was, of course, my family's my top priority. That's a fucking given.
Yeah.
But, like, you don't have a pulse for anything else in your life. You know what? If I had $245 million guaranteed, Steve, maybe I would feel differently. But we don't get guaranteed contracts in radio. Unbelievable.
I mean, I don't know. It just irks me. Like, I think of, like, Jadeveon Clowney talking about, like, when he was coming out and there people were saying he didn't, like, care for the game as much. I'm just like, you're a stud. Like, you're a beast. And people are going to admire you and love you if you just go out and play to your maximum ability. And that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And I don't know. I find that answer horrible, personally. But that's just me.
Yeah, I have seen before. He's talked about this. This isn't the first time that he's talked about the priorities in his life again. But, like, you're allowed to be more of a Christian than a baseball player. And, yeah.
And if you're so worried about your faith being your number one priority, how about you go do something in your faith then instead of playing baseball? Give up your ability for baseball and go do something else with your chat or your life and your religiousness.
Let's play it one more time, Steve. This he hate me guy, the toilet, whoever this is, this guy's really aggravating. So let's play it again. So you listen to how.
That's never been a top priority for me. This is a job, so I do this to make a living. My faith, my family come first before this job. So if those things come before it, I'm leaving.
Is it a priority?
Oh, it's a priority for sure. This is my job.
So it's a priority for sure because it's my job. So in other words, it's how he makes a living. Now listen to how he continues.
I'm here, aren't I?
Do you want to be here?
I don't want to talk to you guys at 7 in the morning or whatever time it is. So.
Do you want to like be here playing baseball?
I have answered your question. So why do you keep picking at it?
Oh, yeah, you technically answered it.
Thank you.
Is it still a top priority?
Dick. Anyway, yeah, it's a top. Yeah, it's a top priority. It's my job. Like,
he never once clarified it as a top priority.
But guess what? Like, it can still matter to you, and you still put in 100% effort, and you still try to win. The guy doesn't care about winning or losing. He doesn't care about being a great baseball player. He's got his money, man.
I don't know. I would never be able to line up next to someone with that mentality.
Could you imagine if that was a Philly and they said that?
Oh,
WIP
nuclear
would break.
reaction.
WIP
It'd be worse than when Baum said, "I hate this place." It'd be so much worse.
Well, when Jimmy called the town a bunch of front runners, which was interesting. So, yeah, we didn't like that too much. But, you know.
I still think this would be worse than that.
It is worse. For sure it's worse.
For reaction here. Like if it happened here, that would be the worst, one of the worst reactions.
Jimmy front runner, or because at the time they hadn't won a World Series yet. I think it was the year after they came off he won the MVP. You know where he said that? The best damn sports show, period. Do you remember that show? It was on Fox Sports. I don't think they don't even have Fox Sports. No, like all those Bally Sports bought Fox Sports, but it was Chris Rose, who does MLB Network stuff now and NFL stuff. It was Tom Arnold, Roseanne's ex-husband, was on that show. John Sally was on the show for a while, and John Kruk. He made his media debut, and it was like an 11:30 show where they would go over the topics of the day. It was actually a really, really good show. It's better than any of these shows out there right now. I enjoyed it. And Jimmy went on there in the offseason, and I forget how they got him to say it. I don't think he was trying to be as strong as like, you call your fan base front runners. Nobody's going to like that. But yeah, so that's where he said it. And I was
He'd be getting booed off the field opening day for that.
The reaction was what you would expect it to be after that. Yep. And that's before they won a World Series too. So anyway. All right. JohnMarksMedia@gmail.com. That's how you get a hold of me. Steve, we gotta sometime this week. We have our producer that sent us a video. He had emailed me back. I don't think I got back to him. But anyway, yeah. So we gotta figure out if we're filling another producer role on the show. The show does need a name, and it needs more technology. Again, if people can see, I am in my living room now, so it's a lot better than me sitting in the basement and you seeing a gray wall. So I was not playing the piano tonight. I was late because we had basketball tonight. It's the last basketball practice of the season. So I got one more game, and then that's it. And then that's it. And then it's on the softball. The Flyers win?
Oh, they did. 3-1, baby.
So what is that? Where are they now? Are they on a hot streak?
They just lost back-to-back, so.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But, hey, you got to beat the teams that are at the bottom, and the Blackhawks are bottom 5, and they won 3-1 handily, so can't complain.
And so if the playoffs started today, would the Flyers be in the playoffs?
They are in. As of the other day, I was reading an article. They have a 73% chance to make the playoffs.
No way. All right, 67%. That's good for third place in the Metropolitan Division.
Yep. And they're talking. We got the trade deadline coming up March 8th, and so we see what they might do. They got a couple guys they might sell off, but I think they have enough pieces to sell them at a high price and still fill their roles in the team and not fall off too much.
Do they need a third line?
I'd be surprised if they miss the playoffs.
They need a puck carrying defenseman and a third line defensive forward?
I don't think they'll be acquiring anybody. I think they they have a couple defensemen they might trade, and maybe Scott Lawton might be walking out the door, but we'll see.
Oh man! All right. Well, one of these.
I'd support all of those moves, by the way.
Yeah, because that's what they would say every year they needed puck carrying defenseman and Trent Klatt or somebody like that.
Well, they got the puck carrying defenseman when they traded Cutter Gauthier after that debacle. So that's one hole already filled.
Poor Cutter Gauthier. So is he playing? Is he going to play for his new organization, or is he?
I think as soon as Boston College is out of the college hockey playoffs or Frozen Four, whenever that comes around, he'll be signing in Anaheim.
That kid's a real dick. Like, the Flyers tried so hard to make it work. They were in different countries trying to talk to him, and he would never.
He wouldn't even sit down with them.
Wouldn't even sit down with them.
Dude, and it was just so shitty of timing. It's like everybody just got so excited. He just won the top prospect of the World Juniors. It was so high. Like, we got this guy, we got Michkov in Russia. These guys are going to be our 1-2 for the next 10 years. And then a week later, by the way, see you.
Oh, wow. This is great. Do you trust Danny Briere? This is great hockey talk.
I do trust Danny B. I wanted him before Fletcher. So,
dude, we could probably do a separate show for like hockey talk, and I would just kind of ask questions and be here because I can't provide any analysis at all. I'm not even going to pretend to, but people seem to like it. So Vince, the Trent Klatt thing was with Missinelli, right? Missinelli bet somebody that if Trent Klatt scored 20 goals in a season, he'd buy him groceries for a year or some shit like that, and Klatt got to 20 goals.
No.
Yes. I think that's the details. It's something like that, to where Mike bought him groceries for a couple of weeks, and then he was more or less.
Did he actually go through with it?
No, he did for a while, and then he was. The guy's like, obviously.
Can I get a fillet? I want
the guy started wanting high end stuff. So that was Trent Klatt.
I would take him for all he's got too.
I remember. See if I can Google and get the story. But I remember Trent Klatt after when he traded for him, that first fight, he dropped the gloves and he was like, he lost, but he was trying to impress the organization by dropping the gloves. Klatt was a decent third liner, right?
Yeah.
All right. So as the story goes, Mike Missinelli told a caller that called in that lauded the trade for Trent Klatt that he was mistaken to think Klatt would score 20 goals this season. He said, if Trent Klatt scores 20, I'll buy you groceries for a year. And he scored 20 goals. So after
was it 20 on the dot?
I think so. I'm going to Google it right now.
That's even better.
After 3 months of buying us groceries, Ron from Cherry Hill accepted 2 tickets to a game in exchange for canceling the bet. Think about that. Trent Clett,
He took a buyout. He took a buyout.
Well, he probably realized, like, listen, I can't make this dude buy me groceries for a full year. He got 3 months of it. He had
still a great story either way.
So he scored 24 goals that year, and he had never scored scored 20.
It would have been better if he lost on the hook. I'm not gonna lie. Like last game 82. Game 82, he scores
empty netter.
20. Or no, he's got 18 with 1 game to go. He scores and then he gets the empty netter to get the 20.
Yep, that's awesome.
The ultimate dig.
Oh man. All right, well there you go. People like the hockey talk. Yeah, I so one interview I called Wayne Simmons Simmer, but I did
like 2 Wayne Simmons.
So I did it on purpose because I said it on the air. I said that I was gonna. Mike used to hate when I would say like I go Wayne Simmons joins us. Simmer, what's happening, pal? Just because I knew Mike would be driving in because he was on after us, and he took the bait and he went crazy on it. But I used to use the nickname Mike, who is came up as a respected journalist, unlike Craig Carton and Adam Schefter. He didn't like the nicknames. That breed of radio host / media person that came up as a writer, they don't have time for any of the shenanigans. Angelo, Sal, Mike, Macnow, Al, they were all newspaper guys. The first wave of sports talk radio hosts in the city were the newspaper guys. This next wave, nobody's writing in the newspaper. We're all radio guys. So yeah, he hated that. Chris Gratton was
Chris Gratton was my original dudes when I was a kid.
77. He was 77.
Yep.
Because Lindros was 88. He was 77. Yeah, the poor Tampa Bay Lightning were like, well, we can't afford them. The Flyers are just bullying the league around, trying to outspend everybody to win a cup. And Ed Snyder couldn't do it. Yep.
I'm pretty sure we traded him to Tampa for the 4th overall pick 1 year.
And you traded him.
Drafted Yoni Pikkinen.
Really?
Pretty sure.
Trent Klett did not ever score 20 again. He had last time I think he was in college. The only other time that he scored 20 goals in a season, but he scored 24 that year. It's awesome.
That's amazing. That makes the story so much better.
It really does. I'm probably I'm gonna try to get Mike on the show. Maybe next week. I got to text him and see what day works for him because I went on.
What do you think percentage he remembers who I am?
Zero 0.
Yes.
Yeah. What did you work his show?
100% 0.
Did you work his show? So I just remember you working with. I remember you working mornings with me.
I worked a little bit of I worked one of each show when I started, and then when I got to go back, I pretty much forced my way into just the morning show.
Right.
And then I would fill in on other stuff. So.
Yeah, well, you were working and stuff too, so you could come in the morning.
Well, working the morning show was great. I was back at work by 11, so got 5 hours in. It worked out for me.
Well, yeah, it didn't work out well for
you.
No,
it didn't work out for me in regards to radio. Yeah, because it really did not work out for me in regards to that.
Look where you are now. You're almost in my living room, as you can see in the background. It's worked out well for me. Yeah, because Mike interviewing me was like, I guess, cool. But me interviewing Mike, I think is going to be better. Because there's a lot that I feel like Mike wants to talk about since he left radio and he left the Fanatic. And there's a lot I want to talk to him about too. So hopefully we get him on.
We hit him with some general knowledge
next week. We'll have to have general knowledge. No, but that's another good one to bring up is the Trent Klatt thing. That's awesome. That's such a great Mike story.
One season that Trent Klatt scored 20 plus goals.
And that was during. So he worked with Steve Fredericks. I wish I had my keychain down here. The Steve and Mike show is my favorite sports radio show ever. Mike was younger. Steve was an older former play-by-play guy who just was at a stage where he just didn't give a fuck. And they were perfect. They balanced each other perfectly. But you heard more hockey talk on that show during that era than you'll ever hear in any other show ever, future or past, because you were talking about Lindros and everything that was going on with him. But one time, Fredericks, they actually had Lindros on the air, and Steve Fredericks goes, Goes, Eric, what if I told you it's not the Legion of Doom, it's the Legion of Sissies? Because they were, I don't know, like people were saying that they were playing soft at the time or whatever. But yeah, like that's the kind of guy that Steve was sometimes, where Lindros is on the air and he called him the Legion of Sissies. Can you imagine that?
How did Eric take that?
I'm not sure he knew how to react to it, but that's another thing we can talk to Mike about. Yeah, so maybe that's coming. A lot of people asking me to see if Josh Ennis will come on as well. That's another one that I need to do. Just trying to
back to back, Mike then Josh the next day.
Yeah, it's just I have to do Mike first, right? Because he'll be mad if I bring on Ennis first. So I would have to.
And
do
then we
Mike
won't
first
get Mike.
Right.
And if you get Mike, then you can say to Josh, "Hey, we just had Mike. We talked about this. What's your side of it?"
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, there you go. The email, johnmarksmedia@gmail.com. Subscribe on YouTube @johnmarksmedia and X, Twitter, and everything else. You can see Delco Steve now has his Instagram and his Twitter up there. He doesn't tweet often, but if you slide into his DMs, you never know what could happen. Now, if you're
anything's possible.
Well, listen, I'm not even just saying to any of the lovely ladies out there. I mean, for all I know, Steve likes men too. I don't know that. I know.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Well, I'm just saying it's 2024, and I'd be fine with that.
That's a no for me, dog.
My first WIP producer was gay, Ben Livingston. He was gay.
Yep.
And he came out on the air without telling us, saying he was gay. And I was fine with it, but I was like, dude, at least give me a heads up that you're going to come out on the air and say that you're gay. Like, I knew that you were gay, but, we got to...
You're not surprising me, but now I'm going to have to deal with everyone being surprised.
Right, and, I don't even think really people... I don't know. There wasn't a big reaction, but, yeah, like, he came out and he said... I forget what he said, but he's just, yeah, and I'm gay, by the way, and I just remember Ike being like, all right, and I'm like, dude, I don't care. Like, we can tell everybody you're gay. Like, I have no problem with that. You could be openly gay on the show. I'm like, but just like give me a heads up so I know what I'm going to say or how I'm going to prepare for it. But I love Ben. Ben was awesome, and I wonder if he still has it on his. He called himself the first gay radio personality, sports radio personality, or something like that. He lives up in New York now. He left to get his graduate degree in some college up in New York. I think it was what's the Ivy League school up there? It shows you how dumb Columbia.
Columbia?
Yeah, I think he.
Yale, Brown, I don't know, something like that.
Well, no, I think because then he stayed up there. Let me see. America's only gay radio personality turned data scientist. So there you go. There he is.
Does it say sports or just radio personality?
I'm gonna pull it up right now. Hold on, let me see.
Because that's definitely not true. It just says radio personality.
America's only gay sports radio personality.
Sports radio. Okay, there we go.
Okay, but turned data scientist too. I'm sure there's been gay sports radio personalities, but none have turned into a data.
That turned data scientist.
Right. There he is. Yeah, he's very happy. He's got a. You know what? I should bring Ben on. Ben's awesome. Yeah, he's been living in Manhattan for however many years now. All right, Steve. Listen, we'll talk tomorrow on a Thursday. Everybody have a good night again. Subscribe on YouTube. Send me an email. Say hello. Whatever. We'll talk to you on Thursday. See ya.